It's Monday, back at you with some super kick-ass news. I've been kind of quiet here with this guy. This is Mr. Cinematic, the iFlight Cinebee. Um, I don't know what the hell was wrong. I think I had a lot of the problems everybody else was having. I think for a reason they put metal standoffs inside the stack, and if you tighten the screws down, it does something. It shorts. The ESCs can't bind to the motors or something crazy. So all of a sudden, after a very light landing, went back up and the quad was just shaking and shuddering. I brought it right back. I mean, 5-second flight, every single motor was scalding hot to the point where it actually burned me. And then taking it apart, looking at it, couldn't figure it out, thought I had it, and went back up. It shaked, it shuddered, and then it fell out of the sky, and it ends up losing this motor. Ordered a motor replacement, figured that out, got it back in the air. I got one solid flight out of it, the last cinematic flight that I did with it. And then after that flight, put the batteries on the charger. I sat that guy there. I went outside the other day. I wanted to do some dancing in the trees with it and get some cinematic stuff. And as soon as I got it powered on, it just again started shaking and shuddering and going absolutely apeshit. Super hot motors, and then it would literally just launch and stop, launch and stop. And I was like, I didn't touch the stack this time. So in the rebuild, I actually put some rubber grommets. I guess you can call that a mod. I took some of the rubber grommets from the old stack and I put them up here, and that puts space. So if you have a hard landing, there's going to give you more gap, so that if I can get in there, so that the stack is not actually going to get hit by your top brace. I still got to go back in and notch, and I got to check the jello on this one. I haven't flown it outside, just armed it. But I did find something, and I used the SpeedyV app on my phone to set this one up, which was a piece of cake. I put this one up in the air, brought it back in, like, I smell that smell. What the hell? Motors were freaking scalding hot. So I'm going through everything and checking. The only thing that I'm not super familiar with is all the filtering. So I go into the filters tab on the PIDs, the PIDs, and there's a big warning saying that, you know, the higher the number, the better the quad may fly, but, you know, check your motors, they may get hot. I'm like, ding, 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 the little LED bulb in my head went off. So I started bringing down the D-term, the gyro notch. I brought down a couple of them, and I remember watching a couple videos of saying where you could bring them down, and it kind of clicked. So I brought one down. If it was 100, I brought it to 50, because it's just a test in the house. And I brought a couple of them down to halfway, and I flew it around my room a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute, the motors aren't hot anymore. So I'm going to have to test and confirm that, but I think I figured it out. But I want to throw a huge shout to tj.rc.uk. I believe he's a subscriber, and if you're not, bro, you better be. Anyway, I put out a video, and I was talking about I wanted to figure out how to change the VTX power on this thing by the button. He goes, don't be afraid, it's not a big deal. You can go in, you put your, for mode 2, you put your left stick center to the left, and then pitch up, and it brings up your whole display, and you can go in and change and add. The only thing I don't know, because I don't like the OSD on, do I have to have the OSD on, which I didn't check, to bring up that menu? If I don't, problem solved. If not, I'm going to shut off a couple things. I don't want the name and all the other stuff, but it was cool. I actually have it at 100 right now, and the only reason I want it at that is when I'm flying up through the trees, or I go up the top of the street and I go around the bend, I start picking up a little bit of static, and that's par for course with a 25 milliwatt transmitter. And with this guy, it did help a hell of a lot. Even with the tiny whoop, when it comes to kids, the tiny whoop would make it up there also. Girls! The 25 milliwatt would do, you know, up there too, but with the little dipole and stuff, I'd get a little bit more static. So this guy should be solved right now. Obviously, I changed the antenna back on this one. I took the little, I'm using the micro receiver that they sent me instead of, where is it? Here it is. And this is why. It's about the same size. The plug's a little different, so it makes it a little tight in there. Kids want to say hi.
Hi. Hi.
There you go.
I want to see the video.
So I put the full-size one in the other one, and then you have crazy amount of antenna. Damn it, it's twice I've dropped it. Third time. Crazy amount of antenna, which wasn't a big deal because I just rerouted it through these things. It was just a pain in the ass with the plug where it sat, where I had it. I didn't like it any other way, but yeah, you gotta obviously protect these things because they get sucked in, and props are done. I was like, you know what, I'll just leave the micro one it came with. The only thing I did, instead of it was looped down and then through the back, so you only had a little tiny bit coming out, so I just poked a hole, so I can focus better. Poked a hole with the heat gun, which, thank God, I gotta remember to unplug right now. Hold on a sec. Which one are you? Alright, that's better. Don't want to leave that on. So I poked a little hole and then ran it back through, and it can't get caught. The other side, that's all you get, a little nub. There's a bad joke there, but I'm going to leave that one alone because it's got to go down around the board and back out. But I will test range to make sure everything is good. If not, maybe I'll have something come up the top, poke a hole up here. I don't know. I actually have a full set of these props now. The first maiden flight I had with this thing, it was cursed right from the beginning. Flying down the street, one of them popped off. Came brought right down to the ground. Thank God it landed in the bush, but I could not find it. I was kind of pissed. But so I know a lot of people are having issues. I think this, yeah, AKK strap. Trying to get a strap that fits in here. All I did was take a normal size strap. I forget what length it is, and I actually cut the sides off and shrank the thickness of it so it's a little bit thinner. So it runs in between the stack here, and then it holds the battery. I'm still kind of coming up with an idea because I have an extra back plate. So I'm going to figure out if there's a way or enough room to run something to strap on here. I don't know. I got a lot of ideas, but I got a whole shitload of extra parts. I was going to try. I was all disappointed because I got in the mail that Amazon one day shipping the Beta FPV / Gemfan props, the quad props. I got a phenomenal review. And yes, like everybody else is complaining, when you slide these things on, they're an absolute whore to take off, and you could bend the shaft on them. All I did was I made sure I got a nice little bite on it, and I just slowly started twisting it to come off. So these things bite on really well, but they're a pain in the balls to take off. So be careful if you're new to this and looking into this quad. Yeah, so I'm going to keep an eye. I would love to find some standoffs that are plastic, ABS, whatever you want to call them, and replace. I've taken this thing apart 5,000 times, so I will do it again, and I will replace the whole standoff with something that's plastic so it doesn't short, if that's going to be the continuing theme with this thing. But for now, it's good to go. It's flying, so stay tuned. Mama's got homemade pizzas about to pop out of the oven, so enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Explicit out.